Claude just launched one of their biggest models yet, which is the Mythos preview model. And they're claiming that it has found, 20 to 17-year-old exploits in old code that millions of products and people have looked over. So I'm here with Yang, a smart contract engineer at CertiK, who his previous experience was at Tsinghua University and Johns Hopkins University as a researcher. And today he's a lead engineer at CertiK working on all things AI and smart contracts. So yeah, Yang, please help us understand how you're looking at the DeFi landscape with something like Mythos kind of looming in the background. And is this something that we should be nervous about? How should we kind of look at the blockchain space with this application and models relatively available?
So in my understanding, we do very basic testings about the Opus models, but we do not have access to Mythos models yet. But we found out that those models are very powerful in terms of traditional cybersecurity parts, like find out those injection front end bugs, those bugs in very big, heavy software system. But I just found out that they are not very good at solving problems in Web3 DeFi landscape. Why? It's because in DeFi, especially for smart contract, it's basically you can think about it's a gaming. It's like you are playing game using a smart contract. The smart contract is the rules to play that game. But the attackers is trying to break your system, like trying to find any edge cases, any things that can break the games. It's quite different for traditional ones. For traditional securities, you are searching for some ways to get your servers access, get your data, get access to run certain commands. But for DeFi, it's more like you are thinking how we can break this game, how we can do, like, for example, some arbitrage scenario to earn monies from using this game rule. So pretty much it's kind of like different landscape and situations. So in terms of that, I think Opus and Anthropic AI right now is not that powerful enough compared to like Web2 traditional securities.
Wow. So you're saying it's apples to oranges, basically, the capabilities of something like the Mythos model and traditional cybersecurity compared to the conditions and the game, if you will, in crypto. You guys are seeing them apples to oranges and basically there's like different technology that needs to be applied uh and is not readily available yet at that scale.
Yeah. So the landscape is quite different. Yeah, I would say because Web3 is not very big. It's not very big. It's very small branches of security. So if you need to reach deeper into that branches, it still have a long way to go.
Nice. And is this what your internal engineering team is saying? Like what are the conversations around that? Is it urgent? Like, okay, we have to move, or is it like, okay, this came out and we'll see what happens, but otherwise we're just kind of focused on our own applications of AI.
So can you repeat that question again?
Yeah. So like the discussions that you have,
Yeah,
with other smart contract engineers, whether they're on your team or
yeah,
externally, how are you guys looking at the Mythos model? Because on mainstream media, on Twitter and
yeah.
these other platforms, everyone is pulling their hair out. But for crypto specifically, as you said that, okay, the application is not quite there. Are
Mhm.
you guys kind of moving very quickly because it eventually
Yes.
will be there? Or is the vertical of crypto just so different that the principles and kind of like the primitives that are being applied are just totally different for DeFi and smart contracts?
Well, so based on my experience, I think eventually it will be there, but it just in time, just about the time. So because the landscape is different, so it still needs sometimes for trainings in order to get that deep. But we've already say something that will happen in the future. For example, we're right now using OpenAI and Anthropic models, their APIs to serve as a reasoning model for our internal AI system. So it's like we are not using their like knowledge base, like their like knowledge base, like how they how to process the data. So we're using them as our reasoning engine, like to do audits. It's like basically we just tell them like we just basically teach them how we do audits and ask them to follow follow our rules step by step.
Mm,
Like for example, I told him, hey, this is a staking contract. So what is needed for stake contract? You need XYZ. And what's the game rules for staking contract? It's like XYZ is there. And now you need to help me to check whether those conditions are true. And I am applying this attack techniques, which can I just get additional rewards? Can I just break the rules? Just etc. If we provide additional knowledge and give him the workflows, how we do the audits, he will complete it very well.
got it. Okay. And you guys so these are like parallel systems to basically run your tools that you already have built out. And you mentioned the knowledge base. I know you have your own knowledge base, and that's
Yes.
kind of the moat or moat potentially for your business. Can you just explain what that is and why that's important kind of in this equation?
Okay. So our knowledge base, it's a very a big knowledge base, and we start our knowledge base even back to 2021. We started this knowledge base. So initially, this knowledge base was using a document format. It's like every time we are doing audits, you will have some experience, you will do some research, and you will accumulate some knowledge. You just put it into a document, and it's basically like your audit notes. And later on, we have a checklist system, which means that every time we do audits, we need to figure out what kind of checklist we need to do. And we have this checklist system to accumulate our knowledges. And also, we are handling like incident from Web3 spaces. So we have a big incident database. So basically, these two parts is where we accumulate our knowledge. So right now we have we put those knowledge into very structuralized format into our database so that our AIs can just fetch it really quick and really conveniently.
Mhm.
And also he also knows that what kind of knowledge they need from this database. So it's basically a long journey, and we just index the knowledge into our database.
Wow. Okay. So you guys really you're kind of forming it into a data company where you have all this data and kind of structures of how you go about the audits and checking for certain things and then leveraging the agents to basically accelerate those checks.
I would say no, unfortunately. So this is because our data is not like traditional data. Like for example, some like raw data that we simulate. Like if you are AIs that do simulations on driving, you need a lot of like driving data to train your model. But it's not quite like that. So for
Mm,
our knowledge base, it's more like the experience from auditors, like the checklist. It's like for example, if you do a staking contract, you will understand how the rules is played, how the game is played, what will be the rules. So auditors just pull out those rules into a database. It's not the code itself. It's not what we did, but it's just maybe just a one or two phrases to describe this staking contract. So basically, it's not like this traditional data, but I would say it's the more abstract data there.
got it. Got it. Okay. And for you guys specifically, when it comes to like looking at the models, is there like particular models that you've seen that are better at these types of tasks, or is like the generalized reasoning model sufficient if it's just generalized and then you kind of have the rule book on top of that?
Yeah. So from my experience, because I only do quite a few scanners myself. So in my understanding, I prefer use ChatGPT from OpenAI, those models, because those models are good at reasoning, and they are good at think about like logical issues. Like from my audit experience, like 70% of the vulnerabilities are related to logical issues. It's like the rules, the attacker trying to break the rules to find the vulnerabilities inside these rules, like
Mm,
how to arbitrage, how they can achieve profits with those rules. So I think in ChatGPT is do a better job to do those kind of reasonings. Cloud models are more like trying to find out the coding bugs, some language specific. Like for example, the cloud code will will understand how you're gonna code, and he just found out the difference between his code and your code. then he will come up with a funny like say, hey, your code is different than me. So are you introducing some vulnerabilities? So I'd prefer to see cloud codes works like that. And for like ChatGPT for models, they would like more like reasoning, like just read those rules to see that whether there is some vulnerabilities that can break the rules. This is just my 2 cents.
And at this stage, do you think the gap is significant between your experience and the application of the models where like GPT 4.5 is different from like Opus 4.7? Or do you think it's pretty narrow? Like like how big of a gap in the performance for your specific use case is it between, Anthropic and OpenAI?
I don't think there is a very significant difference. If we are, say, if our test data set has 10 vulnerabilities, so maybe in ChatGPT's model, we were using ChatGPT models, they can find 8, but for using Cloud Code, they can find like 7. So it's like it's not
Mhm,
like very different,
mhm.
but I would say there still have some difference. But I don't know how they gonna be in the future and how is the vertical goals and their plans. But I would say in terms of my current experience, the difference is it's not very big. It's just some minimum difference.
Got it. And so you guys are essentially building like a harness for smart contract auditing and using the frontier models to power this harness.
Yeah, exactly. So we are using different models like GPT 4.5. You just mentioned also models from Cloud. We also use some open source models and try to lower the cost.
What about localized models? Are you doing like
Mm.
any local stuff for cost effectiveness or
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is also some directions we're now heading to. So those APIs from Cloud from OpenAI is quite expensive. But
Mhm.
for some tasks, like extract context from code, those are very easy tasks. You can do it either use the static analysis tools, static analysis ways, or you can use very cheap models. So we were trying to decompose all the workflow and just that those tasks was very easy. Do not need those sophisticated models. Optimize those tasks using local models.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that kind of takes me to my next question about the breadth of the type of work you do. So recently there was a drift hack, right? Which was a
Yes.
social engineering hack. And this is not the
Yeah.
first time we've seen this. There's the Axie Infinity social engineering hack. Same thing. It was
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
600 million. This one might
Yes.
be on the order of closer to 300 million.
Mhm.
And are these types of hacks within your remit? One, and two, how are you guys looking at the tools and skills to prevent these types of things? And are you supporting customers with this?
Yeah. So because of AI, the landscape is dramatically changed, and those social engineering attacks happens a lot. So like every week, I will receive a lot of reports from our clients say like, "Hey, our private get exploit. Can you help me to check out what happens?" Like most of the clients, the private key got compromised because they're doing some like vibe coding stuff, and they were just mistakenly install some npm packages, which those malicious packages will just break in the system, like get credentials, get the private keys from the memory. And so this we saw a lot of cases like that, and we also saw some like AI introduce new vulnerabilities, like in the past, like Moonwheel, it
Yeah.
is a exploit that Cloud Code, I forgot the model, 4.5. They just introduced the vulnerabilities to hard coded the Ethereum price.
And that was the Moonwell Vault, right? The DeFi protocol.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
basically introduced like a new update, and then the model introduced the bug, and basically in the GitHub you could see like Opus was the co-collaborator on that.
yeah, exactly. So that the landscape is changing dramatically. So that's is also some things we are trying to build, the capabilities we're trying to build recently. So I remember last week we just launched a new products called CertiK AI skill scanning, which is a tool that scans for malicious skills. But to be honest, I would say we still have a long way to go because we also have a group of security researchers who is conducting researches how to bypass those skill scanning. They were working as attackers to think about ways to bypass those scanning tools. So we found tons of ways to bypass those scanning systems, even with the most popular scanners. You can also check out our post at CertiK.com.
Mhm.
I will not explain this in detail, but I would just say we still have a long way to go to protect this.
So for vibe coding specifically, that has become is that like the largest attack vector for social engineering as of lately?
I would say no, but because most of our clients are developers and they are developing smart contract, and
Right.
that's why we receive most of the report. Last month we released a security report on OpenClaw,
Mhm.
and we just get many cases where the hackers leverage OpenClaw vulnerabilities to get your credentials private keys. And just in one case, earlier in February this year, OpenClaw Skill Hub is a Skill Hub. Yeah, the skill registration Cloud Hub, it got flooded with over like 400 malicious skills.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just impersonated tools like Bybase, Polymarket, dressed up as crypto training automations. And I remember there is one account alone racked up like 7,000 downloads. So it's a quite big number. And also I remember there is independent researchers just to run a proof of concept. He published a test malicious skills there. And within 8 hours, there is 16 developers across like 7 countries or 8 countries. I forgot. Just install it. So I would say web coding is only a small portion, and we do see a lot of more cases because AI just expand the security boundary dramatically.
And then what is kind of the forefront case study for exploits? If it's not vibe coding is clearly like on the rise.
Mhm.
What's the core issues that you've seen?
The core issues I've seen, you mean AI agent?
Just yeah, like social engineering.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
what are kind of like what are the main ways in which you're seeing case studies of social engineering? Like, what is the pattern of those attacks?
Yeah. For social engineering, let me think about it,
Mhm.
because most of the cases I've dealt with is vibe coding, and for social engineering, I just receive some cases where the attackers just tell you like, hey, I have a deal to want to discuss with you. Let's
Mm.
do a Zoom call. Let's do a Chrome call. And when you are doing Zoom call with them, they might send you a fake link. It's not like zoom.us.com. It's but like Zoom, like for what. It's a
Yeah.
very, it's just do some phishing. And during meantime, you will see some like blur and some noises there, and there pop ups a window saying like, hey, you need to upgrade your Zoom. If you click that one, your computer will die. So there is a lot of social engineering ways to break in your system using emails like Zooms, like Telegram. So you have to be cautious about the links you click, and you have to be cautious about what you are doing to your computer. You
Mhm.
have to set up very restrict access control to your computers.
And are these do you think for a lot of the customers that you're dealing with, are these targeted attacks or is it kind of blanket attacks?
Yeah, I would say in my understanding, I think it kind of like very targeted. This is have that feeling because I know of many of my friends, they are working in crypto companies. They
Yeah.
are like business developments. They are like maybe CTOs. So they just receive tons of phishing emails, like tons of fake invitations, like
Mhm.
tons of malicious links every day. So I feel like if you are working in crypto, you have access to many resources, like you host private key for your company assets, etc. You will be easier to get it.
And for you, these are what is the extent of how you support these types of attacks? Like, if it's someone is downloading something, a skill, and it's a malicious skill, at what point are you supporting them? Is it after the fact or like what is the predictive stuff that you're doing ahead of time for these types of things?
Yeah, I would say there is no effective ways for you to prevent those attacks. Attackers are always coming up with new ways, new technologies, new angles to do social security. But I think that the key is you have to educate them enough to do some educations for them. like tell them like what you need to do, what you cannot do during interview, and give them more case studies to make them understand, to make they have security awareness.
Mhm.
I think that's the most important things. What we can do is like give them applications, of course, and after that, if they found out that their system might get wrecked, we would just let them just stop the networking and send the computers to us. We will
Mm.
just do some hardware analysis, etc., just to find out what the root cause is, and then publish the root cause to public. Um, do more educations.
Got it, got it. So a lot of education and kind of don't do these types of things, and then if there is attack, then there's like a retro on it. But
Yes.
what are can you share like maybe just for people in general, like what are these things to look out for, and what's like the core primitive? Is it like downloading something? What are like the actions? Clicking, downloading. What are kind of like the high level actions that should be monitored, especially in the age of AI and all this, uh, automations?
Yeah. So first and foremost, if you are reading some emails, if you are having some conversations, if you saw a link that direct you to something you do not know from untrusted parties, do not click that link. You need to verify as whether you are having conversation with a trusted party. They may just pretend to be a trusted parties like your boss, like your partners, etc. But have to verify uh, the correctness of the link. And when you are doing like when you are having Zoom link, when you have meetings with your clients, with anyone, so you need to be careful to read whether the links is correct. And if they ask you to download everything, never do that. And also for those who like doing vibe codings, I would recommend they to do web coding in a secure environment, like say sandbox, or even use a new computer without credentials to do so. Yeah, that's basically a very high level advice I can give. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And for the product that you guys are building,
Mhm.
it seems like you're ahead of the curve on, building this AI harness specifically for crypto security auditing. And you said before that, something like a Mythos or this traditional cybersecurity model doesn't directly impact the ecosystem at all, if or as much as we think, right? So what is kind of like the race look like, and how does the business model for you guys actually change if potentially the barrier to entry for smart contract auditing lowers?
That's a that's a very hard question because AI really impacts the whole industry
Yeah.
for a lot. So a thing that I can say immediately is that AI is truly replacing those junior auditors.
Mm,
So so we recently launched our AI products called AI Auditor, which is a beta testing. In beta testing, is a scanner that can scan your smart contract and give you a result like in an hour. And this scanner's capability is much better than a junior auditor. So I would say if a junior auditors cannot find sophisticated bugs that AI cannot find, it will be like get impacted. And also in terms of audit itself, I would say like I saw there is a trend for like every client wants to like develop real quick. They're using their AIs to do development, and they do not even understand when they're coding sometimes. So in this case, it require from the risk is shifting from them to us. It's
mm.
like we need to understand what AI what's the capability of AI, what's the mistakes the AI is gonna make.
And you're saying that the right now the teams are basically putting together code and then it's working, but then they ship it to you and it's like slop.
Yeah, exactly. So it's AI native vibe coding, right? Because AI is very powerful. They can just do some vibe codings that add features like
Mhm.
really really quick and just submit us to do an audit. And this is, I would say, so the development cycle is becoming quicker and quicker. It's
Mhm.
like they just spend a day to develop 100 lines of code for us to audit. So I mean, in this case, we have to adapt to it. That's why we just invest a lot on our AI technologies. We launch our AI products. It's
Mhm.
like every time they have developed a smart contract or something, they can just use our AI to do scanning as a checkpoint. And later on, when they finalize it, have a beta, a stable versions, they can just reach out to us like, hey, we want manual audits for this version. Can you do that for us? Yeah.
So the team pushes a new code, and then they have a checkpoint, like a self serve tool that you guys provide. How long have you guys been doing that?
So we've doing that AI tools as our internal tuning system. It's like every time if the client allows us to use AI, we will just run the code base and just serve as a baseline for our audits. And we just recently released some of the scanners to public, some general as a beta testing. So this is just to adapt to the AI environments that AI dominates the coding space.
Yeah. And previously, so teams would, finish all these features and development and then ship a large pile of code to you. But now it seems like the behavior and the landscape of development obviously is changing. It's faster and the throughput is accelerating, right? And then on your end, you're having, it seems like you're building towards this like real time audit.
Mhm.
Um, is that can you tell me about like where the direction of the industry you think is going? Is it going towards real time audit? Like what do you kind of see it as in maybe the next 3 years?
Yeah. So to be honest, I don't even know what's gonna happen in 3 months. AI is changing like dramatically every day. So I would say in terms of industry, I don't think real-time audits will be dominant in a space because right now AI system has many problems. I will list just a few here. So and the first is the randomness I told you. If you look into our benchmark, so we do a benchmark on 2026 incidents, which there is a 35 incidents, and we do a benchmark on that. So in our first round, there is like a 80 record rates, 80% record rates. In the second round, it's have a 88% record rates. So that means that if you run the model like 2 times, you will have higher chance to get more vulnerabilities. That's the randomness I just told you. Which means that in some situations, AI can miss bugs, miss those very critical bugs. Those are instances that lead to actual loss. So if you miss the one bug, it could be millions of dollars lost. So I would say AI still have some restriction in terms of randomness, but for humans, for in terms of human audits, we at least have 3 auditors in projects. They will do manual review, line by line review, and do cross check, which means that every time when finish was done by a human audit, there is a likely chance that they miss vulnerabilities like AI.
Mm.
And also in terms of accountabilities. So you cannot expect AIs can do accountabilities for projects. Like if your project got audited by AI, you will probably not trust it. And this is another part I think AI is cannot replace. And third part is in terms of depth verticals. So we were building AIs at the very beginnings. I was thinking when the AIs can truly do some very, very in-depth thinking, like finding some zero-day vulnerabilities that only like mathematic experts can find. I would say yes for some cases, but more cases I will say that it requires humans for guidance. Like it's more like human needs to tell AI what you need to do and give him a guidance to like how to achieve that goal. So I think for those in-depth findings, sophisticated findings, it still requires human interactions there.
Yeah. It seems like now you tell an agent what to look for and the rules in which it should look for it.
Yes.
Are you guys thinking through and for you, do you think that skill can move up the stack where then the agent starts, finding its own ways of its own rules or either finding its own specific types of vulnerabilities? Like how
Yes.
far do you think that is where the gap kind of closes on the expert?
Yeah, it's a super good question. So we do have some research regarding to that. So
Mhm.
in smart contract audits, we have a term called property or invariant, which means that you have when you are doing smart contract, there is some rules that always hold true. Whether you are doing formal verifications, you are doing fuzzings, you need to make it as true. For example, a variant of a property can look like this. When you say there is a staking contract, you stake like 100. When you unstake, your unstake like in certain period, your unstake amount should bigger than staked amount. So
Mm,
that is a property, right? So that is what we call a property. It's basically like rules you need to
mm,
fulfill while playing this game. If you need to come, if you, I mean, if you have already come up with this invariant for similar staking contract, you can reuse this invariant and property. But in terms of if is a new system, it's a different staking model. Like say, hey, this staking model is like in the first week, of your staking, if you unstake, you will get punishment. So yours, what you can get is actually decreasing. But for the second month, it's get increasing. So
mm,
I mean, the situation is different. It needs human or I mean, the AI system can just look into that to identify those properties. But I would say the abstraction is not as good as human for understand the cases. But the actual cases is much more complicated. It requires like bigger system. Like they have many different interactions to external parties. If it's staking, it's not staked to in this protocol. It may stake in other protocol, other dependency protocols.
mm,
Say like Lista DAO, like say other yield protocols, and you have to understand what kind of protocols you're staking into. So for humans, because we have experience and we have a better ability to put all the information together is because we are got a lot of trainings for this expertise. So we can quickly adapt and find out the proper rate property or invariant or better environment for than AI. But I would say you are right. This is something that might be my AI can come up with, but
yeah.
I don't know when it is.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying, and I'm starting to notice a pattern actually. We
Yeah.
had Nikita from Barter on
Mhm.
our first episode, and he was saying, more so the agents are used in like certain conditions. And for you guys, you're saying like, okay, the agents can do certain things very well,
Yeah.
but for this like abstraction piece
Mhm.
and pulling together all the context, it's like the context piece is the issue. Also, someone else, Mike from Hummingbot, he said the same thing. Where for them, the missing piece is kind of like just plugging in all the information about the ecosystem. Is that kind of what you're seeing as what's missing from like some agent just basically doing like the end to end discovery and auditing process of you know uh, novel issues or problems, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I believe there is not a lot of data for AIs to be that smart at the current stage because Web3 security is very new at the
Mhm.
space, and I don't know if there is enough data to training actual models to be that good. But I do believe that the capability of AI is keep increasing and there will be more and more sophisticated vulnerabilities that AI can find. But in terms of current phase, I would still say that AI still have its limits based on our experience of using AIs through our audit process.
Yeah, this is super interesting. Any last thoughts before we wrap up? I know you guys are pushing on the internal AI harness
Yes.
a lot. Yeah. Any last thoughts there and kind of what you expect and are going to be seeing over the next couple months?
Yeah. So that's a very high level questions. I've chatted with quite CTOs from blockchain infrastructures. They are just building some infrastructures for like agent economy, and they have different solutions. Basically, they just identify give an agent identifications on their blockchains. That's the blockchain and your crypto accounts. Like let them send and execute the transactions there. So I would say a lot of like infrastructures and a lot of nodes are just shifting to agent system. But but I also feel like I still not comfortable with current security models. Many things that they did not actually realize, because, for example, like AI agent is off chain. and not controllable, how do you ensure that your agents will not get exploited? How do you prevent like prompt injections, data poisoning to your AIs? And also like if you're thinking about if you compare this to the past, the threat model is completely shifted. So in the old days, if attackers want to perform a social engineer attack, as discussed,
Mhm.
so they have build trust with you, right? They have
Yeah.
to make you trust that this email is from a trusted party, like your partner, and all that. Even some some attackers from like North Korea, they will even enter your organizations past the interviews to do social engineering. But
Mhm.
now, like now, the hackers can only just social engineer your AI agent. So what your AI agent is, it's like a very junior employee that has a full access, but like almost no security instincts. So I think this makes much easier for a hacker to break into to hijack your AI agent than an actual human. So
Yeah.
those kind of challenges, I think we do not have a good security models for that.
Yeah. That's a great analogy because we've seen kind of some like wrappers or tools that are securing the agents, but those do not go as viral as OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Just the breadth of the stuff that you can do. So yeah, the agent security piece, especially like reading emails, with the prompt injection, where there might be malicious instructions in the email, something I've been worried about. And on that point too, just before we wrap, is I have a kind of a very specific question for you. And basically, you guys see a lot of types of protocols, right? You're like
Yeah.
a bottleneck of information when it
Uh-huh.
comes to teams with capital, right?
Uh-huh.
And teams who are shipping products. And that is kind of a unique area as one of the largest, smart contract auditors. Without getting into the specific names, are there types of products right now that are being built in the ecosystem that you're noticing are getting more audits, right? And for us, this is like an indicator of, okay, maybe this sector is heating up. Yeah. Is there like some kind of hints you can give on, is it payments? Is it stables? Is it agents? Where are the serious players shipping code the most?
So I would say, from my experience, I would say we got a lot of from like institutional clients. They're doing payments, they're doing infrastructure stuff. Uh, they are players that from traditional world, and they are trying to do Web3 stuff. The gap here is they have very strong experience in Web 2, but they did not know about Web 3. For example, so I remember our security team find the vulnerabilities that relate to fake deposit that can just do a fake deposit to exchange using smart contract and just the cheat and the exchange saying like, hey, we have already make a fake deposit. We have fake to cheat the exchange say, hey, we make a deposit, but actually there is no money going there. So this is a vulnerability that Web2 native personal security researchers cannot find. I
Mm,
think it's a good case. So in terms of that, I think CertiK is a good ones to fit in that place. Give some insights, doing audits for those parties to let them understand more about secure Web3
mm.
and provide like security products to them to ensure that everything works smoothly because they carry out a lot of like capitals there and also data privacies, etc. Yeah, I would say there is a lot of things we need to do in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, appreciate you having on. This has been super insightful. And I guess to wrap on that last thought, the institutions, these Web2 institutions, I'd assume, banks or tech companies are
yeah,
coming on chain, building their own products. And this is potentially something that we should kind of pay attention to, as there's probably going to be some updates and new products rolling out over the next couple months, if not the year.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, yeah, appreciate having you, Yang, and sharing your expertise here. And hope to have you back on
Yeah,
time some point
yeah. Thank you, Gab. Thank you. Thank you. Be so nice to me.
soon. No worries.